Well, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio was the first radio station in the market. It was actually last year, Hockey All-Star Game 2016-17 season, to broadcast a hockey game. We followed the Nashville Predators throughout their run to the Stanley Cup Finals. For that matter, the President's Trophy last year as well. They might win it again. And their lot was improved with the return of PK Subban this week, the great defenseman. Here to talk about with me is our Predators expert from A to Z Sports Nashville, Alex Daugherty. Thanks for joining me, Marquis Bilson, on Tri-City Sports Now. Alex, the return of PK Subban. Obviously, the Predators had been a little bit down with all the injuries that they had, but tell us a little bit about that impact on the Preds.
Yeah, it was really good to get PK Subban back for a lot of reasons, if nothing else, to balance out the defensive group. The Predators' defense right now is really not playing up to par. I think that they're not contributing offensively. They're inconsistent defensively, and a lot of that is because they're putting in guys that have no real business playing in big minutes. I mean, last night was a really tough game because you have a guy like Matt Irwin who had one good year for the Predators, signed a 2-year deal last year, and it really right now does not look like an NHL defenseman. So it's good to get PK Subban back, but you've really got some other things to figure out. So he looked okay. He said post-game, PK said post-game, he felt decent, and I would agree with his assessment. I think he looked okay. I think he is going to take a few games to get back to full speed. But the team overall was really, it was a frustrating game last night against the Dallas Stars, a 2-0 shutout loss at home. Mostly because they put up a ton of shots. They put up 49 shots on Anton Khudobin and couldn't get anything by it. So it's actually the most shots on goal by a Predators team in franchise history and getting shut out. So
wow,
there's a little bit of record-setting performance there. Most shots, previously the highest was 45. So we have 49 shots on goal and getting shut out, the most ever in team history.
No, you put it on the net. I remember Stanley Cup playoffs back in the 90s. I remember Tom Barrasso once stopping 49 shots in a shutout during a Stanley Cup final game. But, yeah, it's a Hall of Fame type performance here. The Predators, as I said, have been hurt with a lot of injuries. Subban wasn't the only guy that came back from injured reserve, also Victor Arvidsson. And just what's the Predators' injury state right now?
Yes, so right now the biggest name that's not on the ice right now is Philip Forsberg. He has what has been called a hand injury. I think it's probably something like a wrist, which is something he had last year. I think it's a separate injury. But anyway, Philip Forsberg is the biggest name. But they've also lost a couple of role players in Giannis Weber, a defenseman, and Colton Sissons. Colton Sissons,
sure,
of course, is the guy who has had a number of clutch performances for the Predators, most notably the hat trick against the Ducks to send the Predators to the Stanley Cup Final.
Sure.
It really can't be understated. I mean, he's been kind of a glue guy for he's honestly more of a Barry Trotz style player. I mean, he was drafted under Barry Trotz, but he's played well under Peter Laviolette. So anyways, those guys are still out. Victor Arvidsson, though, I would argue is, and so actually earlier in the year I sort of listed out the players that I think the Predators would miss the most if they were out due to injury, and Victor Arvidsson was number 3 on that list, and Philip Forsberg was number 2. Tekarine was number 1, of course. So they just got their third best player back from injury. They're still waiting on number 2, Philip Forsberg. So there's still some waiting around to get healthy for this team.
We're talking to Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports Nashville, and you talk about healthy and such, and just where the Predators have fallen. I know that they were leading their number 1 seed or the top record for a long time in the Western Conference, and now they're 4 points back with 46 to the Winnipeg Jets, pesky Jets from last year, obviously. And really, the Tampa Bay Lightning seem to be the team to beat in the NHL with 60 points overall at this time. Now, the thing is, you've written stories about how the role players, I mean, at one point I would have suggested that maybe Sisson was a role player and such, but they are stepping up. Can you tell me a little bit about how the lines are being handled without Forsberg in the lineup?
Well, it's been kind of a mismatch all over the place because, first of all, the top line with Ryan Johansson, he needs to have good shooters around him. And he's been having to work with guys like Kalle Järnkrok, not a great shooter, Kelvin Fiala, an okay shooter, and Ryan Hartman, an okay shooter. So, like, it's been tough without that top winger that can score 30, 40 goals. And then other guys, and to be honest, the lines right now honestly feel like preseason lines. I mean, when you watch preseason NHL, I know a lot of people don't watch preseason NHL. I do.
I have in the past, but yes, go ahead. It is tough for me to get into hockey in September. I will say that, but I've done it, yes.
Yeah. So if you watch preseason, what's what it feels like. You've got guys that don't normally play with each other, playing with each other. You've got guys that have disparate roles playing with each other. You've got, top six wingers playing on the bottom line. It feels like a preseason game, a preseason team right now. I was actually talking about this with Adam Bingen, the not Tennessee anymore, athletic reporter for the Predators. We had the same kind of conversation that it really feels like just a really long preseason right now. And I think that that's okay because this team really doesn't need to hit its stride until March and April anyways. You don't want to fall too far behind, though. I think the Jets are right there. Obviously, the Lightning are the cream of the crop right now. I think that they just need to get through to the beginning of the year and get their healthy players back and start going on that road down to the final playoff push.
Yeah, you were talking about how the Predators, the holiday break came at the right time for them, but after losing to the Stars last night, now they've got to play the Rangers on Saturday. And now the Rangers, I don't know, to me this kind of looks like a typical Rangers team that I've followed throughout the years. They don't have any real big scorer, and we're at the halfway point in the season. There's a chance they won't have, well, I doubt they'll have a, how should I put this? There's a chance they won't have a 40-goal scorer. Chris Kreider has 19 goals, 36 games, but that's the leader, if you will, and such. Who do you think gets the start in net tomorrow for the Predators? How do they match up against the Blue Shirts?
I think they probably go with Rene again. Though they have gone with Saros on the Saturday night start on occasion. The problem next week is you've got to look ahead to next week a little bit because they've got two back-to-backs next week, Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday. So I bet Rene starts Saturday just because that sets up the back-to-backs a little bit better for next week. Because then you have Rene Saros for those two. So I think Rene does. The Rangers are never a fun team to play because of Henrik Lundqvist. So
yeah.
When you've got a Hall of
Great
Fame
goalie
the other end of the ice, I mean they just got shut out by Anton Khudobin, who I don't think is going to make the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
And so now they've got to face the Hall of Fame goalie in Lundqvist, who is still just as good. So that's another challenge. I think that's really the tough part. Yes, the Rangers can't score as much, but the Predators have not been scoring really recently either. So they need to start putting quality shots on net if they're going to make any progress on Saturday.
Well, see, the Subban, I mean, I know he's a blue liner, but, obviously an offensive defenseman, if he might be able to get something going there on the point. But, yeah, I mean, Rene versus, that could be two Hall of Fame goalies in there in this game. I could see that very easily, and such as you talk about with Lundqvist and Rene. And so that's something. And also, sometimes people, they will scoff at low-scoring hockey games, but I got to tell you, I've seen a 0-0 tie be so exciting because you try to see players who are putting the burden of trying to score upon them that they normally wouldn't, or try to give everything they can at the end of the third period and such. It's close. I mean, I've always said this. Low scoring means close game. We'll see if that's the plan. I mean, 49 shots against the Stars. You got to figure that eventually some of them are going to go past the line there and get in. The Predators at the halfway point. Tell me, what is your biggest concern going forward?
Excuse me. really that big of a deal. It's just how do you build the next 30 games of hockey until the real season kind of kicks around in late March, early April. I think that's part of it. I think that they really have to look at where their scoring is going to come from other than their top line. A lot of people are really high on a guy like Kevin Fiala, and from what I'm seeing, he's just not making that leap that you really wanted to make. This is his third year. He needs to have gone a little bit more than right now. He's a guy that he needs to have too much good things going on around him in order to be successful. He can't create on his own necessarily. His shot has not developed the way it should. Someone like that needs to be a better player right at this point in his career. So things like that, staying healthy, getting that secondary scoring, and just getting to March and April healthy enough to compete as you want to be competing in the playoffs.
What's your biggest sign of optimism? Is it the 1-2 goalie punch, or is there something else?
I think the most optimistic thing about this team right now is that Pecorine is still playing at a Vezina Trophy winning level. If that was not happening, this team would be in real trouble. That is the one positive you can hang your hat on every single night of this team is that Pecorine will give your team a chance to win every single night. So that's the most optimistic thing right now.
Well, you've got catfish that'll be thrown instead of fists because they're playing the game at the Bridgestone Arena. Madison Square Garden, a little rowdier. I got to tell you, I don't know if you've ever been to a game at Madison Square Garden. It's been several years and all that, but that's quite the experience. They really don't like it when you cheer the other team's goal. I'll tell you that much right away. And it's also right there in the middle of Manhattan, and there's not an environment like it in all of sports. So that's where the Predators, they will be hosting the Blue Shirts tomorrow. 8 p.m., I think, is the face-off. So the Predators, like I said, only 4 points back, and it's a time. Subban coming back. Things are coming. Things are looking up. And, like I said, we're at the halfway point of the season as well. Kind of hard to believe for me. You're still thinking, okay, this is, wait, they've been playing this since October. It's 3 months in. Of course it's all right. Alex Daugherty, A to Z Nashville. What do you got cooking, by the way? What are you working on for your next story?
Well, actually, I think I'm going to try to. I think the big focus right now is just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop in terms of the defense. It's finally waiting for that defense to gel like it usually can. I think a guy like Matt Irwin to top along on this team. I'm kind of working on something with that. And then I think it's a matter of when we turn towards the trade deadline. What is this team going to try to go get? David Boyle is notoriously pretty budget conscious at the trade deadline, except for a couple examples. I think there's a chance he goes and gets someone out there. I think they need someone that goes in the front of the net. I would love for them to go after Wayne Simmons of the Flyers because he's exactly the kind of player they need. But again, they don't have much to work with. They don't have a lot of draft picks to trade away. They don't have a lot of prospects to trade away. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
I got to say something. I was about ready to wrap this up, but there is something that went by in the back of my mind I want to ask you as a hockey guy. I see this, that the male athlete of the year from the Associated Press was LeBron James, and I remember a Sportsman of the Year, Sports Illustrated, was the Golden State Warriors. And I was thinking, Alexander Ovechkin, finally wins the cup, finally ends the Capitals curse, that sort of thing. I know that, basketball may have a higher profile, but do you think that Ovechkin may have been slighted by some of the national press in terms of awards, or, would you go with LeBron James again?
Yeah, welcome to the world of covering the NHL, where the entire league is left and right. You could have gone with Alex Ovechkin this year. You could have gone with Marc-Andre Fleury. You could have gone with Smith. You could have gone with any of the years where with the Blackhawks winning. You could have gone with Patrick Kane, John State. The league will never get the recognition it deserves. Partly because the league itself does not promote itself the right way. They don't try to make. The NBA has such a good job of making itself a player-focused league.
Sure.
The league wants to do other things. They want to push other
Let's bring back the old Patrick division, the Wales Conference, the Campbell Cup, all that. Let's do that. I say that considering that I once covered Lester Patrick's grandson, Glenn, who was the coach of the Wheeling Nailers in the ECHL. So I look at that. But it's always nice to be able to listen to what you're covering, Alex Daugherty, A to Z Sports Nashville. And by the way, you'll want to check on them because they've got some interesting news on the Tennessee Volunteers offensive coordinator search. And we'll talk about that when we return on Tri-City Sports Now.